Welcome to the LCTV Show, a program that highlights organizations in the Lynn community. Today we are going to speak with members of the Goldfish Pond Association. I'm your host, Mukala Kabongo. Let's get to meet our guests and get to know them a little bit. How are you all doing today?
We're doing great.
Yeah, as you can see here with me today, I have Kathy Montejunas, Susan Brown, and John Baker. How are you all doing? How long have you guys, been a part of the Goldfish Pond Association?
John and I were part of the founding group, so that means 37 years. And Susan?
I came in 1989.
Ooh. How about yourself, John?
I've been one of the original members since it started, and still am today, and hope to be in the future.
Can you just tell the audience, the roles that you each play in the association?
Well,
you have to have brains. And with that statement, I'll pass it on to Kathy.
through the years, because we've been involved so long, I think we've all played a number of different roles, but in general, we're all taking part in every single one of the things that we do. I served as president for a certain period of time, as secretary, and presently my biggest contribution, because I no longer go out and plant flowers or pull weeds or climb in the boat to get out to the island. I did fall into the pond one year, and I decided that was the end of that particular thing. But now I usually, with John, take charge of the flea market.
Okay. And John, so how was the flea market this year?
It's good. We had a lot of, it all depends on the weather. That's the factor that determines how well we do. And in the years past, we've had good weather. This year was a nice day, warm, not too hot. We had a lot of people that come in. We sold about table spaces, around 50, 55 table spaces. And that helps generate money so that we can go ahead and do what we have to do again to keep it going for next year. And it's a win-win for everybody that are there. It's a win for the people that are selling their items, and it's a win for people that are going down there to purchase things. And it's a lot of good buys, plus the other incentives we have, the raffle, the bake table, the bounce tank for the kids. So there's always something for everybody, regardless of their age group.
And Susan, since this organization has been formed, what are some of the things since you've been a part that you've seen changed over the years?
Well, one of the things is that at one point, one of the mothers who had small children said that she wanted more for the kids this age. There wasn't much going, because they couldn't really do much on planting day, which is our big day in May. And so a small group of us got together and we started the Children's Garden, which is a special day. And the children come, and we have flowers, and we have certificates of appreciation. We have goldfish crackers, and the kids can plant their flowers wherever they want to. And they also can usually go home with at least 1 or 2 flowers to plant when they get home. And so that's, for me, that's one of the I'm kind of in charge of that, and that's one of my favorite things.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. Kathy, since you said you were president at some point, can you just tell us why did the association form? What was the thing that made this association?
When I first moved into the neighborhood, there were some really serious issues in the neighborhood. There were a lot of problems with kids smoking pot, drinking in the park area. There was a lot of vandalism in the park area. I even had a gang fight in front of my house at one particular point. The pond was very ill-kept. The city was in charge of taking care of it, but that meant a crew maybe once every 3 weeks or so that would come down. So it really was in bad shape. And I think there were a number of people who were living in fear. My house, for example, had been broken into one night in the middle of the night when I was in bed. So I think we were ripe for a change. And a man who passed away this year, Gerard Dwan, was an inspirational leader who wanted to see life better for everyone in the neighborhood. And I think after we began to really work hard with city councilors, with the police, with the courts, we were able to address those issues. And since then, we've moved more into where we are today in terms of maintenance, beautifying the pond. Gerard had visions for just how beautiful the neighborhood could be, and we did it.
Yeah, I've seen it change throughout the years growing up, because when I was younger, when we'd walk by, we used to see all types of things in the pond. At one time, we saw a bike in the pond.
Oh, more than one,
Yeah,
yes.
so there was always something in there. John, can you just tell us a little bit of some of the initiatives that you've been a part of with the association?
Well, I'm going to just follow up on what Kathy said. I didn't live directly on the pond. I lived on the street in back of the pond. But my concerns were just as interesting in to have the neighbors get together and see what we could do as a group to change the environment down there. And that's how the association started. You know, it was to get people involved, because all people got different issues. Some might have a parking problem, some might have a noise problem, and you have strength in numbers when you want to go and get a problem resolved. Back then we had the Lynn Community Health Center that was down there, and that was a concern because there was just too much parking. It was like the old lady that lived in the shoe. The city needed something, but they didn't need it on Goldfish Pond.
Okay.
So they finally decided to move downtown, which was a benefit for us. And then we, as a group, decided what we should do to try to make it so that we had more control of what was going on there. And that's what my involvement is. I'm the treasurer, and I do a lot of maintenance. Weekly, I go down and pick up the pond every Sunday. And I'm in charge of the lawnmowers and the upkeep of the equipment that's there. So I'm always involved, and we have a meeting once a month so that we can find out what we want to do for the next month's coming up. And to me, you can't buy the neighborhood that we have there. The people that have been along with the group have always put the pond first.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's really good. It's definitely great to keep that maintenance, because it allows more people to just walk around freely, just to escape something, clear their mind. It's a good area, especially if you want to. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's particularly now when the weather's hot. People come flock down there. They sit in the shade. We've had weddings down there more than once.
Yeah.
People have come down, and we have had foreigners come down that use the island itself as a backdrop to take pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does attract a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So Susan, can you just, I mean, just going off what he says, can you just tell us why it's very important to keep that place, the maintenance of that place, the importance of Goldfish Pond to our community?
Well, there are lots of different areas. I think we've mentioned how it's a spot of beauty, and it's a spot of, most times, quiet peacefulness. There might be right now we have a blue heron, great blue heron that's out on the island, and I see people just singly or in families just sitting there and enjoying all that. I think, you know, we live in an urban environment, and I hear that from people when I, end up talking to them, new people who are at the pond, talk about how that's often where they like to go, because it is a sort of oasis, a respite spot. I think John said that.
Let's talk about like some of the things you guys have coming up. I know October, Halloween time. I know there's people walking around there trick-or-treating. So what do you guys usually do during October? I saw you guys have some events lined up.
Yeah, October, a tradition on Goldfish Pond was, and this was way back before the rest of the world was putting giant plastic things on their lawns. Gerard, the man I mentioned before, had designed this enormous pumpkin that was on a wooden frame that folded out and around, and he built all kinds of stands, and we put it up on top of the center island, on top of the canna plants that we had in the island, and it was spectacular. In fact, the first color photograph to appear on the front page of the Lynn item was the Goldfish Pond pumpkin. And back then, because it was so unique, I had, well, Butch and Carol even more, but almost 1,000 trick-or-treaters. I mean, it really attracted a lot of people in the city. It was so unique. And Brickett School would, on Halloween, bring the kids out and go around the park. We've maintained the tradition. The pumpkin, it's, 40 years have gone by, and naturally, eventually, it began to deteriorate, and we have a member of the group, Howie Stowe, who has designed a replacement pumpkin, and we still put that out.
Well, that's pretty awesome. Anyways.
It was really cool. I mean, when we first put it up, I can remember we were all running out and looking at the moon and the pumpkin, and it was really exciting.
Well, and I remember one of the first things that I was involved with was painting it, because the vinyl or whatever it was starting to discolor kind of. So a bunch of us were there with Gerard in charge, painting this again, and painting on the face and painting the orange.
The other thing we do in the winter time, again with the group, we put up a Christmas tree. It's just a pole with lights streaming off of it. And at nighttime, when that pole is lit, and you can see the reflection in the water as you come across the bridge coming down, or you're coming down, it's breathtaking. You wouldn't expect to see this type of thing in the pond in the city of Lynn. It's really a diamond in the rough. It's when people see it, and you tell them the history of the pond, that it's in the shape of a heart and the purpose of why it was there, they're really interesting to find out more about it. And we try to pass that information on so that they know that they're living in a city, and why is this here? So, like I said, we try to do a lot. During the summer, we have a movie night for the kids. We've had it for 4 years in a row, which is draws a lot of children. We try to get a Walt Disney type of theme movie, and we attract the kids because we want it to be a showcase of what people can do to make their park better for themselves. So it's a trade-off of us working to provide something that somebody else could appreciate that they probably couldn't do on their own.
Now, for that movie night, do you guys do one every summer, or is it? It's not.
No, it takes
a month.
It takes a lot of work, just like the flea market. It takes about 40 volunteers to get that program up and going. And it's an all-day program. I'm out there at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's people out there at 3 o'clock in the morning, and that goes till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And then after that, it's clean up and put everything away. And 2 hours later, you wouldn't think anything was on that pond. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. To touch on what you said about the history of the pond, I didn't know the pond was built in 1870. I was looking up, like 1870. That's a long
back
time.
some time, yeah.
That's way back. And I mean, if we had pictures from what it looked like then to now, you just be like, wow, this is the same thing.
It was, from what information we gather, it was originally called Sweetheart Pond because of the shape of a heart was made in the remembrance of a loved one.
Okay.
And then at some point in time, Goldfish popped up into it, and the name happened to stick with it. Yeah.
And we did a little research on the history of the pond when we celebrated our 30th anniversary, and there have always been like rumors about why it was in the shape of the heart, and it was hard to trace down a specific rumor, but Trish Green, who was the person who was our history detective, her theory is that one of actually the councilmen who was on the city council in Lynn at the time that the wall was put around the pond lost a child and his wife in childbirth. So we went up to Pine Grove Cemetery and we did find that that was there. Their grave was there, and it was at the same time the pond was built. So we kind of speculate that that may have been the reason for the actual heart shape when the wall was finally put in.
It's a little eerie, but...
Well, kind of nice though, you know, in honor of the one he loved.
Yeah, that's pretty, that's pretty
not
awesome.
so eerie.
You know, sounds like a ghost story. I thought you guys were going to say it was a ghost story or something, but yeah.
I just have to jump in because we talked a little bit about all the work, and there is a lot of work in keeping this all up. But we party too. There are some traditions. There are some traditions, and that also helps the group, the neighborhood, you know, click and have fun. And a Valentine's Day party, a holiday party, lunch.
There's nothing like a party. Nothing like a party.
The other thing too is we don't want to make it so that if you don't live there, you don't have no connection to the pond. Yeah. We're inclusive. We want people to come down and participate. Yeah. We're always looking for new volunteers, people that come in that might have a different idea that we never thought of, which would help benefit the pond. Yeah. So it's not like club atmosphere to it. If you don't own property, you can't participate. It's city property, so we welcome anybody to come down that wants to help and volunteer. And like I say, might come up with an idea that hasn't been thought about that will just enhance and make it a better place than what it is right now, because that's what it's all about. Yeah, definitely. It's about keeping it alive and keep it going.
A great workout instead of going to the gym, just push the mower around Goldfish Pond. Yeah, we'll be thrilled to have you. You hear that, rake some leaves, everybody out there, come on down.
Yeah, if you want to party too, they like to party.
You gotta earn your way into a party by doing some work, okay?
Oh man! So can you guys just talk about your fall cleanup that's also coming up pretty soon?
Yeah, fall cleanup usually begins after the pumpkin comes down. So the beginning of November, and it's basically pulling the plants out of the beds, raking the leaves, putting the beds to sleep for the winter. Okay. So a lot of physical work.
Well, I mean, that's why you guys stay looking young. You guys are out there.
Well,
getting your physical fitness on.
That's why I'm aging. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah.
So you guys, every Saturday, you guys have a maintenance every Saturday mornings.
Right.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And who do you guys have people in the community involved in helping you guys, or is it just the organization?
It's basically the Goldfish Pond Association. Some people have moved away and come back to help out with that particular activity, but we have actually this year it was 3 teams, right? 3 different teams of 7 people or so, and their job is we take a boat out to the island, they take the boat out to the island, bring the mowers out, they mow the island, they weed the beds, check out what's going on that needs to be fixed. So by keeping that up on a weekly basis, it keeps everything looking pretty good.
We do have an unwanted guest there. Oh. A turtle. He comes, or she comes up every now. She comes up every now and then, decides to lay her eggs, but unfortunately she does it in the flower beds and destroys the flowers. So that's where the maintenance, the part of it comes in, because the turtle goes in there. And it's a natural thing for the turtle to want to lay his eggs, but they destroy some of the flowers. So that's part of the upkeep and maintenance. So to make it always look like, well, we plant the flowers and we don't care about them. Yeah. So it's a job that's ongoing throughout the whole summer.
Yeah, you guys definitely working hard. I mean, you guys keeping that space very, very appealing, presentable to everybody. I walk by there all the time and I'm just like, oh, this is different from when I was a kid. because I don't see some of the stuff that I used to see when I was down there. So I mean, that's very great. We appreciate your work. The community is very proud of you guys. And if they want to get in contact with you or volunteer, how can they do that?
We have a Facebook page. We have a website, www.goldfishpond.org. They can call me and leave an email address, and we'll get in touch with them and let them know what's going on.
Just show up when there's a Saturday crew at 9 o'clock and say, listen, I got 2 good hands, put me to work.
And you will be.
There you go.
And it's the best part of it is, for the reason that is to get to know your neighbors, because that's what it's all about. And we carry that beyond the pond, because we always are looking out for the neighbor's property and their welfare and upkeep. If one can help somebody do something, we're in that neighborhood group. It's just not, well, we plant the flowers and then everybody goes in their house and closes their doors. It's not that. It's a continuing effort to support the pond and support our neighbors.
Definitely, definitely. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap this show up. I just want to thank my guests from the Goldfish Pond Association. You guys have been great. And if you heard anything they said, they like to party. That's what I got out of this interview. But I've been your host, Mukala Kabongo. You guys have been watching the LCTV Show. Until next time, everybody have a great day.